I am perfectly willing to make a Discord, and while I'm not perfect in putting together panels, describe some basic rules, hopefully, and tell people and like put together some basic rules on how to make panels, how to make good panels, how to moderate them, what basic rules every panel should go by, and the bad things that panels do. And I'll make this Discord, and it is open to literally anyone who makes panels. Will this hurt me? Probably, because that means that other people have resources how to make good panels. But I am just so fucking sick of seeing shit panels that I am perfectly willing to make that offer now, okay? Just make a Google Doc. I think the thing is with making a Google Doc is then I feel like I think having a Google Doc might be the way to do it. Either way. Either one should be good. Either way would work. Keck W, me calling his panel shit. I don't think all of his panels are shit. I like that what Prime does. I just think this particular panel not great, man. That's all. My panels lead to just as much shit showery though. My panels does like go into shit showery, but I think there's certain things that moderators can do that like limits the amount of shit showery, and there's a certain amount of it that's fine, but fuck man, there's just certain amounts, like certain things that just need to stop doing, man. Prime has good stuff. It's hard to control this many people. Yeah, it's not only is it hard, it's impossible. So the only way you can control these many people is by having half your panel literally say nothing. Because when you have 15, 16, 17, 18, fucking 1,000,002 people on a panel, half your panel has to be literally say nothing Andes. And you should have some amount of people on any panel that are less talky individuals. But when it becomes a point where like anytime like you can't go around the room, I don't know, man. There's a certain balance you need to have in shit showery, and I think some of these panels are just like leading in one direction way too much, you know? And here's another thing, and this is something that I know nobody will ever agree with me on. A lot of people won't because it's too much fun for them. But panel hosts should basically almost never get involved in said discussion. You scare away guests. It makes people feel like shit. Nobody who's a viewer is enjoyed that you're getting involved. Let me be for real. And like the thing is, the times I do it, every single time I do it, I regret it afterwards. Even if I think I made an amazing point, I always regret it because I think I'm bringing down the quality of my panel and the standard I try to hold myself to. And so that's probably one of my biggest criticisms, because I feel like there's a lot of panel hosts who just can't restrain themselves. And that's why I think a lot of panel hosts, if they want to comment on stuff, then they should have single streams and panel streams. You want to know what? My highest viewers are always when I do panels. Right now, it's like 300, right? Which for me is actually quite low. I've been going on a downward trend ever since I kind of took that break. I've been on a downward trend for about 2 weeks. Has it been good? No, it sucked. It sucked a lot. And you know what? If I just put together a bunch of panels, I'm sure all of those would rise my viewers on average. But you know what? Then I wouldn't get to share my opinions without it being a shit panel. And so, if I want to build a channel around me so that I'm not just a walking panel, I have to stream independently. I have to. I enjoy doing it too, at least usually. But panels, man, gotta balance it out so you can give your own opinions on some days and have other people give their opinions on other days. Like, you can't just... Oh my god. Modern Day Debates does a good job of this. His name is John, I think. The thing is, his name is John. It's not even John. It's James. And that's another thing. James doesn't have any quandaries with what I'm talking about now, because James doesn't really give his own opinions. James shows himself as a neutral platform that is there to exist solely, basically, to host debates. He doesn't, go in the middle of a debate, well, my opinion on immigration is, my opinion on trade is, but he has no, it seems like he has no desire to give his opinion. He just wants to host these conversations, right? But if you're a panel host who also wants to give their own opinions, you have to make separate environments for that. Panels are not good for that. The guests are going to think you're biased. That's number one. Number two, it slows down the panels because it just adds another, quite frankly, pointless panel guest that doesn't need to be on there. And panels, a lot of times, are supposed to have kind of changing guests. Like, you want people of different opinions or regulars. And by you being there, you're making a permanent slot of somebody who's always going to be there when people want to see panels to have different opinions. But you're going to be there consistently to give your own opinion. Not to mention, there's an imbalance of power. When you are the panel host, if you are moderating a panel and also giving opinions, you have the power to say, be quiet. Now here's my opinion. And then when people respond to you at any time, you can shut that down and say, stop, here's my opinion. And that imbalance of power is seen by the viewers. They see it that at any point, you can shut that down and you are controlling that conversation. And it makes people not want to engage with you, number one. And it makes the viewers not want to watch that. They get frustrated very quickly. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of criticism on, like, on how I have on panels, and I try to be polite and nice and not, like, say it a lot, but my God, I can't. I'm Hans has impressed me with his notebook mod skill and resistance to giving his opinions. That's good if he's doing that. I haven't really watched any of his panels yet. Stop being nice. Thing is, when you run a panel show, you kind of have to. If you want guests, you have to be. And the worst thing for the panel community that could happen is if panel shows start going at each other's throats. Because what's going to happen is eventually, and this happened before, it was me and she who will not be named, Tree of Logic, right? There was like the whole embargo she tried to do of any conservative who goes on my show must never go on DylanBurnsTV, right? And if that starts happening between panel shows, then you're going to have like some WWE, WCW competition thing, which might be good for like people trying to outdo each other, but it's going to be terrible for seeing the matches we want to see of people going head to head and having conversations. So I kind of want to say it in like honestly, I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but I got to be nice, because if I don't, what's going to happen? It's going to downgrade the Twitch space. It's going to downgrade the panels. Never have Destiny and Vaush on at the same time. I remember wanting and doing everything I could to make Destiny v Vaush happen. And seeing shit like this and the results of these things from like, I have no interest in it. I have zero interest in it as like a thing to like moderate. Zero. Absolutely zero, man. A DV Vaush 1v1 would be fine. What's the point? What's the point? What's the point and what's the topic? There you go. What's the point and what's the topic? There you go. I have tried so hard to make so many matches, make so many events, do so many things. And it has been such a fucking pain in the ass. I tried to make Destiny v Vaush a million times over. Never happened. Tried to make Destiny... fucking come on all these panel shows. It's very difficult to schedule. Tried to make Vaush v Bastiat happen again. That fell through. Tried to make Vaush v Mike from PA happen. I spent like a month and a half on that, and it fell through. And like all these things. Now I'm thinking about Vaush v Gothics, but Gothics will never get back to me. So that's pointless. Like, I honestly, man, like, there's so many panels I want to put together. I want to do this stuff, but holy shit, man. It's like impossible to get these things to do. Like, I have so many ideas in my head for what I want to do, and like plans for panels that I think would be amazing, plans for matches that I think would be amazing. This like longer thing I want to do with the Hippy Dippy Championship. But it feels like nobody's on board with doing that. Nobody's on board with like really making it happen. And what people do when what ends up does happening is stuff like this. This is like backyard, like mud wrestling. And the thing is with backyard, you know what? It's like fucking, if anybody's a wrestling fan, and I'm about to have a Jim Cornette take, this is like backyard deathmatch bullshit. Where everyone's constantly being thrown through tables, everyone's constantly being hit over the head with like metal and getting terribly screwed up. And you know what? After a while, the first chair, the first panel, the first like thing that gets thrown, it's like, oh, that's so cool. But then after like the third chair, the fourth chair, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, damn. Ugh. And then you don't want to watch it anymore. It's too much. It gets gross. It makes you want to throw up. I watch stuff like this and I want to hurl. I want to throw up. It's disgusting. It's not discussion. It's not debate. It's not even flair. And this is 100% flair, but it's flaring to the point that all the staff has lit themselves on fire and ran through the fucking neighborhood saying, look at me, look at me. Do you look at it because you enjoy looking at it? No, you kind of look at it because you can't, like, look away. But you know what? How many times are you gonna watch a video of people burning themselves to death? Fucking like once, maybe twice. After a while, it's the same thing every time. You gotta have differences. You gotta have, like, you gotta innovate in some way. You gotta try new models, new discussions, new people, all this stuff. There's so much stuff that isn't happening that I want to try to happen, but god damn it, it's impossible to work with these people. And I'm not gonna stop. I want to keep doing it. And I know I'm bitching and complaining right now. That's not fun for anybody. But holy shit. This has completely like shot the appeal of panels for me. Because the reasons why I like panels was the sharing of ideas, the good spiciness that could be added, and some flair. And I think that was something that was missing, right? And these big personalities colliding. So the sharing of ideas, that's completely dead here. Nothing's being shared, like different perspectives being had. This is just a conversation between like 20 different flavors of left-winger, right? Who all disagree about certain aspects of left-winger. The KOE Nation's the only person in there they see that's even remotely right-wing, maybe American Nacho, and they haven't said anything for the whole show. And you want to know why? Because there's too many people. So that doesn't work. The flair... What flair is there? And just people yelling over each other. There's no flair. There's no entertainment value. There's no promos because these things happen spontaneously. It's an open panel, right? There's no promoted like element. Like that. The big personalities clashing. They are clashing, but you know what this kind of feels like? It doesn't feel like Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. It would be like watching Ric Flair versus Sting right now, with them both in their 60s and 70s. Like, it's a big match between two personalities, but holy shit, they should be in wheelchairs, not a ring. That's what it feels like here, because the foundation is built so terribly.
Wait, we are regressing so...
But you want to know what? 100% Destiny brings it on himself, too, right? And I just scheduled him for a show we're going to be having, like, next Friday, which is the first I've scheduled him in forever. I've tried to schedule him to a million different things. Whatever. It happens. I understand it. Nobody's obligated to come on my show. But it's like, Destiny like walks into this willingly. Vaush has walked into this willingly. So brings these conversations on themselves. But I feel like a lot of it is, you walk into a panel that's set up to be shit from the start. Right? It's just set up. Structurally, everything, it's set up to be shit from the start. And then it ruins your taste in panels. And these aren't like pre-planned panels. These are like open, spontaneous. And so somebody will say something so outrageous that you come in there, then it's a shit experience, and then you don't want to interact with it again, right? It would be like if somebody said, I hate hot dogs, and every single time they had hot dogs covered in shit. Like, no wonder you hate hot dogs. You're not having good hot dogs. It's like In-N-Out. If you had In-N-Out in Arizona or Maryland or anywhere else, like, no wonder you don't like it. If you had it in California, though, where it's actually made good, boom, you love In-N-Out now. I think Destiny wants the shit to an extent, but for somebody to say, have you considered that people understand what open panels are and they're cool with it? I'm not against the concept of open panels, period. Right? I almost did one. My problem is there's certain things with open panels that if you do it incorrectly, it just makes it garbage. It just makes it garbage. It makes you want to hurl. Right? For example, I'm not against the concept of a blood and guts style match in wrestling. And you guys, for those who know it, are like no holds barred rules, right? With some chairs, maybe some barbed wire. And it's great if you've got if you've got good stars, good camera angles, good moves with good skills. And there's some basis of rules that are followed and not constant rule breaking bullshit. Even though no holds barred, you get the trying to paint a picture here. If Mick Foley's doing it, it's great. It's great. If MJF, Maxwell Junkin Freakum do it, it's great. But if it's some fucking backyard mud show bullshit, then it's not good. Because then the rules are never applied and they're shit. There's too many people. Here's a good thing. In wrestling, there's something I hate. And it's when 2 people are fighting and 10 people from behind the stage run in, and I'm sorry for using all the wrestling metaphors, but it works so perfectly. Run in, and then there's 10 people all punching at each other, and there's so much happening on the screen. You're looking around trying to follow what's going on, and you can't. Too much is happening at once. There's too much drama and nonsense at once to the point where you can't eat anything totally and enjoy it. For example, if I'm at a buffet, and then I eat a chicken wing, eat a piece of pizza, eat some sushi, eat everything, I end up enjoying none of the food. You want to know why? Because I'm trying to consume so much at once, I can't sit there and register what's happening and register the flavors. And so when you have 15 people on a screen at once, that's going to be the problem. You want to know? I did like a Royal Rumble style thing, right? Which had the most guests I ever had on at once. And I made sure to limit it to at least 8 people during every round. And that's why I changed it from, and don't think this is a criticism that like is only like maybe a Prime thing. This would be something I would equally apply to the Austin show or anything that ever did the Raj Royale or any of these things. 15 people on the screen at once at any point in time is just going to be too much. Period. It's never gonna work. I'm sorry, you live in fantasy land. Fantasy land. I am told constantly that 8 people is too much and it should be 6. And that is actually, I think, if you were to ask me the perfect number for a panel, it's somewhere between 4 and 8 or 6 and 8. It's somewhere in that range. It's too fucking much. Anywhere above that, it's never gonna work. That's why the Royale model sucks. It sucks. When you start with 15 people or 12 people, the elimination style. You want to know why it sucks? Because it's done wrong. You can eliminate people from panels and have it be good, even though you need to carefully manage your relationship with those guests, because when people get kicked out, they feel like shit. And you need to be clear with the rules beforehand and clear with guests who are coming on exactly what's happening. One thing, I tried to make a show with modern day debates, and a lot of the guests he brought on were not properly briefed on exactly what the show was, and that caused some problems later down the line. The thing is, when people are eliminated, you need to start with 8 people and end with 1 person. And in between that, when people are kicked out, more people join to make sure there's 8 people at once. So you can savor the moments that are gratifying. Savor when 2 people lock up and start beating the shit out of each other. But if there's 15 people, there's like 6 people at once trying to do it. Everybody's waiting to jump in. And so not only are the fans and people watching dissatisfied, but the guests are dissatisfied. Do you think it's satisfying for American Nacho or Pisco or any of these people up here who are sitting there, who are not Vaush and Destiny, who get to talk every fucking 10 seconds, who are sitting there just waiting their turn to say something, and most likely it's not gonna come till 30 minutes, 40 minutes down the line? That's a problem on my show, and that's only with 8 people. How the fuck are you gonna do that with 15? It's impossible. It's impossible. It's just not you can't do it. That's all on the moderator, though? It's not even on the moderator. Prime could be the best panel moderator in the world. 15 is never gonna work. We had a 6-person panel once, conversationally very constructive, views-wise, not super dramatic content. And that's why I go with 8. Because what I've noticed is when I lean towards 6, it's more constructive, but less people pay attention. And you're bringing in less communities. The thing is, with 15 panels, that makes it feel like a good shot of heroin. And what I mean by that is it's something that feels good, but it's destructive. is that you have 15 people, 15 slots, so many people with different opinions that everyone somewhat feels included, except conservatives never show up on the show because of involvement on the moderator in there to show bias. So that's not going to work, but that's a separate issue. Due to it being 15 people, you have so many communities you could be pulling from. Imagine 15, that's why the Royale was so popular, because you had 15 communities that you could pull from. That's so many viewers. But you want to know why it didn't end up working? Because it was unmanageable. And when it comes to like, if I remember correctly, it was the idea that like the guests hated it because a lot of them didn't get to talk. It would ruin relationship with guests, and they'd be fucking kicked out too early. And the thing is, it could have been so much better if it just started on a lower model and worked in the kind of like wrestling Royal Rumble style, where throughout the show more people join and more people are kicked out. That allows you to limit the amount of action that is going on the screen at once, and also means you can space it out more appropriately. When I think about the most viewed stream I ever had was the Rumble that I did. And the reason it was the most viewed is because I followed that model. And even though we made some mistakes when it comes to having iHypocrite on, when it comes to having that one transphobe dude on, I forget his name, when it comes to like some instructions that were not properly given beforehand, the model worked. The model worked. It was the most viewed panel ever. It almost was like 3,000 live viewers at one point, which is great for me. Wonderful for me. You gotta space that content out. It was Tyler Bluntman. That was who it was. And this ain't that. And you know what? If people love the backyard mud wrestling, they can go to the backyard mud wrestling. I'm not doing that, though. I'm not doing it. The thing is, it had 1,700 viewers on it. Great. Wonderful. We can all make money because you put a big star in your show, right? That can happen. Definitely when they're colliding in any manner. But it could be so much better. It could. These open panels are not made for these types of interactions. And you can hear Prime even knows it. He knows it. He signified twice, like, hey, let's bring this private. But then, if he brings it private, then that undermines fundamentally everything Prime said that his show is supposed to be. A thing where his community gets to come on and interact with them. That at the end of the day, with the open panel, anyone from chat can, if they wait long enough, can come on and go on the panel. It can be a wonderful thing, right? Wonderful. But if he makes it private, that undermines like what he like built the show to be from the beginning, from my conversations with him, right? But these conversations are going to be undermined by the amount of people that are on there. So it's not that like a panel like this is not going to be at all economically like beneficial or like successful. It's that I think that there's just so many missteps being made. The issue is that you're a good person trying to have actual productive conversations. That's not even the truth. I'm not. My main goal isn't to just have productive conversations. That's part of it. But it's to make entertaining, somewhat productive content that can help small political creators and the political sphere generally grow bigger, and try to adapt our format for it to be better and more functioning on Twitch. Anybody who makes these panels under the auspices, under the idea that one day right-wingers and left-wingers or people who disagree will come on, they'll discuss the issues, and one will say, well, golly gee, I had my mind changed, doesn't know how panels work. That's not how panels work. Nobody goes on these shows, or very few people go on these shows with the idea that, like, I can't wait to have my mind change or change someone else's mind. If you believe so deeply in your beliefs that you're willing to go on somebody's show and say, this is what I believe, with a camera looking at you, you speaking into the microphone, you are so deeply entrenched in your political positions that it's very, 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 very not likely you're going to be budged. It's for the viewers. It's for the viewers 100%. Dylan, we get it. You were the best panel. I'm not saying I'm the fucking best. I don't think I am. I think there's a million mistakes I make. but I don't think I'm backyard mud show bullshit. That I don't think I am.
Flags?
why
What
the
are we?
14
Come on.
points.
This is your 14
Let's
points that
make
you
it
brought
stop.
up.
So, like,
how many does it need to cover before it's?
Sorry, I know I might have talked over them, but I mean everybody was doing it, so I thought I would just join in. You know? You see that? You see that? Like everybody just talking over each other, and you want to know what happens? You know what? I don't believe in broken window policing, but when it comes to panels, to an extent, somewhat, you gotta believe in broken window policing. Okay? Broken window. I'm gonna be Rudy Giuliani when it comes to these panels. Okay? Listen. So, if there's a small error in rules that somebody makes, like we call it jaywalking, like somebody for a moment speaks over somebody else or something like that, you tell them not to do it often. A few interruptions is okay. When it becomes excessive, that's when the law needs to get involved. Okay?
Before it's fascist.
So
we can't wait. If we're gonna have this discussion, like you're scanning the points.
Did anyone hear anything that was said? No. No. There was nothing to. I literally heard nothing. I heard Prime saying, "Oh boy," and I heard like something about flags, right? And the thing is, when stuff like this happens, I feel like a lot of people don't want to jump in, and they don't want to jump in for a few reasons. The first reason is the most obvious one, that it stops the debate. When you jump in and you enforce rules, it stops the debate because now everybody has to listen to you, right? But I think it's necessary because if this happens once, and you'll ask panelists after the fact, right? Well, they started interrupting and they started breaking all the rules, so I broke the rules. Because if they broke the rules, then I'm not going to not break the rules, so I'm fighting on an improper fighting field here. I'm not going to let them screw me over. And then you know what? That taints the water. It taints the water, and now it continues to spiral out of more and more control because nothing was enforced. So you need to basically show to everyone involved, like, this is getting out of hand. We need to remember the rules. I will restate the rules, and going forward, you will be penalized. Penalized with multiple minute timeouts. The best example I can give of me doing this that was 100% within the realms of needed to be done, in my opinion, and like that got me in trouble, was when I muted Mike from PA on my show, and then Mike from PA like rage quit, ran off, and then eventually came back. Like that was 100% needed because I needed to show very clearly that to everybody, you will be penalized no matter what your status is if you break the rules consistently. You do a few interruptions, you know what, we can overlook maybe a tiny bit. But once this spirals out of control like that, you need to step in. You need to. Because number one, it's going to taint the water and hurt the conversation. And number two, you need to make it very clear that no matter what anyone's status is, you will enforce rules against them, right? I think it's super important to actually stop the conversation to do that. I don't know. Dude, it's just sad, man. That's just sad. Am I going on tonight? No, I'm not going on tonight. I think he said I don't want to have a fucking get hit in the head with a steel chair 20 times.
Why do you keep
people,
bringing up
hold
other
on,
shit?
because it's comparable against people making the same arguments you're making now. Do you know what the people you argued with said? They said, this is conspiratorial. You can't actually say there was this intent here. Sure,
And
there
the
may have
thing
been
is, you want
motive.
to know what? People can come in and they can say, well, open panels are okay. Or they can come in and say, well, you can have this or this or that. And you want to know what? That's not what I'm saying. And everyone knows, I'm sorry, I see like the people who've been on these shows like GSU, fucking Catgirl, the rest of you coming on, and you're all like, well, you know, open panels aren't necessarily, and I'm not saying that, but you know what? Everything I'm saying about rules not being enforced, too many people on at once to actually have a conversation, and none of you have objected to any of those. It's all things that I'm not even arguing against. None of you would say it out loud, though. Let me ask you genuinely. Or maybe you can prove me wrong right now. Is 15 people too much? I'm asking you, GSU. Everybody who's in here that was on this. GSU, is it too much? Polar. So you think 15. Is 15 too much? I'm asking chat. Is 15 too much? A fucking avalanche of yeses. Avalanches. If you're saying no, you're lying to be nice. If you say no, you are lying to be nice. There it is. GSU catering. We got pivot. Let me just pivot. Whoop. Let me just whoop. Let me just pivot. Whoop up. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Oh. Best non-answer I ever heard. It was a yes or no question. Come on. Being nice. I understand. You guys are nice people. I won't push you on it, okay? 15 is too much. Too much. Never gonna work. Never. You can get views for it, but it's just not the best model. Aiko, you're in here. What do you think? Just too many people. Fucking 15. It's bizarre. You said most times I'm right. Yeah. And then you say, but sometimes people want to see a shit show. Okay, right? But the thing is, me squatting down and shitting in the middle of the street could be entertaining once in a blue moon. But if that's all the show is, that's not entertainment. $15 people can be okay, but when you have Vaush and Destiny... The thing is, if you have 15 people, the 15 people, it's only okay when half or more of them don't talk. Meaning that the best time you see 15 people panels is when basically half of them don't exist. Meaning that an 8-person panel would be better. You want to see this? Half the people right now are not even talking. And that's when you're seeing the best stuff. So why you even have them there in the first place? To try to pull in people from those communities, which that is understandable as a marketing tactic. But you know what? When they're chatters, it makes no sense. What, is it nice to make them feel included? They're not bringing in any community. Like, I don't know, like, this guy in the middle bottom with the beard or whatever, like, let's say he said nothing for the whole show, and he's just some random chatter. He's not pulling in any viewers, number one, and he's not saying anything. So what's even the purpose of him being there? The panel functionally, what would be the difference? Don't disrespect? I'm not trying to disrespect people. I'm just being honest. Can we all agree KOE not talking is a crime to us all? Thing with KOE, and KOE says some funny stuff, and it makes me, and some stuff that takes and it pisses me off. The biggest problem I've always had with KOE is his video was always so choppy, and his audio has always been a little bit hard to listen to. I would have him on more shows if that wasn't the case.
And the outcome was very deliberate, and there was evidence.
I think his video has gotten better. I haven't heard his audio as of recent.
That they would have had a specific reason to have done it in the way that they did.
Clear for the Bush case.
No, the North
clear for the
no.
He's clear for North Carolina.
You are
This is totally
Okay, shut up.
I wasn't even done, but I'm almost done.
Shut up.
No, you just
so far.
They're still talking over him. They're still talking over him. He's literally yelling at the top of his lungs, shut up, and they're still talking over him. You know what you do here? You mute Vaush and you mute Destiny. That's what you do here. You mute them both. You don't need to do the whole shut up, shut up, shut up. It's like, hey, mute. Like after the third time, boom, you violated my rooms. You get a 5-minute timeout. And you know what? The main reason why people don't do that is because it pisses off big creators. Because there's nothing that pisses off a bigger creator than a smaller creator going, mute. That pisses them off. It messes with the hierarchy. It does. But you know what? If someone is not obeying your rule, you gotta enforce rules, man. You have to. And man, I've done the whole yelly thing to try to enforce rules on panels. People just want you to mute. People in chat want you to mute. Everyone wants to see you mute. Okay? Just mute.
Making arguments.
Holy fuck. Everyone, hold on. Don't worry. I'll help you out.
Shut up for a second. We gotta have order. Look, I told you we should have moved to a private panel. You don't want to do that. Okay, fine.
I just like the idea that Ultra.
He's now still interrupting the fucking host. Why? No, okay, so not only is this on Prime for not just hitting the mute button. At this point, you have to mute. But it's also on Vaush a little bit, right? But the thing is, for the amount it's on Vaush, in big part, it's because there's no rules being enforced, period. Vaush should have been muted here 100%.
For Progressive Destiny is saying the accusation that Bush and his brother like were responsible for like conspiratorially fixing the ballot.
I want to attack this point.
Hold on. I just like that Ultra. Hold on. I just like that Ultra Progressive Destiny, who definitely hasn't slid to the right in his fight against the lefties, is saying that is comparable to.
You're not adding to the conversation. You know that.
Okay.
All right, so I'm muting some people. Go ahead.
There's like 20 people open their mouths. They're so triggered by it.
I just have to respond to the North Carolina thing because he does this. He drops a really bad claim, follows it up like it's like the Rubio
what
Democratic
just
debate.
happened is Prime did he stopped the show. He stopped the show. He stopped it. He shut it down for a moment. He had an opportunity there to make very clear the rules, reestablish it. Moment's gone. The reason this hurts me so much is I really like Prime. I do. It maybe not sounds like it, but I was one of the first people with a founder's badge in his community. I rated him constantly to try to give him that first boost. But man, this hurts.
You made since you come on here, buddy.
This is the Vaush strategy. It's make you respond to the point and drop a bad analogy that doesn't fit, and then make an ad hom to try to like win the debate, have like an optics win.
This was unduly hard because we didn't move their private room. Destiny and Vaush don't look like they're getting preferential treatment, so they want to stay open. That's the thing. Prime has built a brand off of like this idea of open panels, the whole community get involved. And if he stops it and moves to a private room with just Vaush and Destiny, then what is it? Everybody's going to be like, clout chaser. He's doing this because he's kicking out all these people who have been waiting in line to get in conversation. They've been waiting all day. They finally get pulled in, and now they basically get thrown out of the show. Why? Because the big people get in, and the big people get special VIP treatment, which undermines what he has established as a show, as this idea of everybody gets to come in and cooperate. So he can't really move to a private room, and both Destiny and Vaush don't want him to. Destiny has even like been angry at the fact before that once a guest was kicked out to bring him on, he didn't really like that much, even though that's just how the model goes, because of the preferential treatment and how that looks, right? But on the other side, like, so it undermines like the fundamental thing of what he would do. Of course, this would be better if it was one-on-one. It'd be easier to moderate. Stop judging someone else. Oh, okay. You know what? Good point. When people host political platforms, you should not be critical of those individuals. Therefore, I'm not going to be critical of Fox News. I'm not going to be critical of anybody who hosts debates. And so when somebody hosts a debate between this person and that person, there's no moderation, and it spreads political ideas or values or anything with not done properly, I should just sit back and say nothing. Because criticizing people with platforms is mean. It's sad. Your criticism of that other moderator is not going to change his goal. Okay, let's say it doesn't change him. Then hopefully it stops anybody from doing a show of the similar caliber. Prime has always had this issue. And so don't you think that it would be good if this has been a consistent issue to say it's been a consistent issue? What do you mean? They will do it despite what you say? Then let this be a message to those who want to start shows like this not to do this. What do you mean, man? don't criticize this thing that we all in here agree is wrong because he's not gonna change. Well, okay then. Why do I criticize literally anyone then? Why do I criticize politicians if they're not gonna change their opinions? Why do I criticize this person if they're not gonna change how they do something that I think is wrong? It's to stop other people from doing the same thing. An anonymous gifter, thanks for the 5 gifted tier 1s. I assume it was a Prime panel guest. Sorry, I'm sorry. Again, I want Prime to succeed. But damn, man. Hey, you have a problem with drugs? Should we help out?
Occurred.
Nah, they'll just relapse. You know what? You're right. Prime's panel is a lot like heroin. Good productive criticism there.